Hey, it's Doris with Aldi Books. It's time for Car Talks to commence. It's that time of year. So jumping right in, I have just a few books to share with you today that I have finished. These two, I don't have much to say. This is the last in the Faber anniversary series of short stories that Sean and I are talking about. So that will come soon. And then Crossroad of Twilight. This is the 10th in the Wheel of Time. Kate Howe and I are reading these together, and her husband warned us that this particular one was a little boring, and he was right. The end, he had a smash ending per usual though, so that was good. Then I finished Anthony Trollope's The Last Chronicles of Barset. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Anthony Trollope, I love him. I love his commentary on society and his centrist views that I encountered in my first Trollope back with the Warden. And so it's nice to see that theme come up again in the series. So basically this one's talking about money. I struggled with understanding where he was going with this because the story is tied together with this older minister in a poorer parish, and he's getting a little forgetful in his old age and has forgotten where he got some money, and it's causing him some serious legal troubles. So yeah, the system was a little antiquated over in England, and I didn't really get it. But in the end, I got what Anthony was saying with it. He just uses it as this brilliant foil with these two younger guys of marriageable age in the story. They're middle class, not poor, not rich, upwardly mobile. One of them is a good guy and has some good luck. The other is, he's a nice guy too, but he makes poor decisions, and his good luck isn't as good as he thought it was. And then you have the very wealthy, or the seemingly very wealthy, you know what I'm saying, abusing their power. Sound familiar? I think it does. So I won't say any more because, I am not the one to spoil. A classic for anyone, if you are lucky enough to not be spoiled. I want to keep it that way. I highly recommend Anthony Trollope. I love him. So I also finished Light in August by William Faulkner. This book, so the first good chunk, well over half of it, I was deep in thought, very deep in thought, trying to figure out what William Faulkner was trying to say. This book is, it's set in the South, so I don't even need to say what it is thematically, do I? In the 1920s, I believe, 20s or 30s. So what shall I say? Let me suggest, if you are going to pick up this book, or probably any Faulkner, I highly recommend reading it with a buddy. I read this with Greg from Supposedly Fun. He was an excellent buddy reader. We had some really insightful conversations about it. Bookish, Brian from Bookish, has also made I think probably 5 video series on this book, 4 or 5 videos that are excellent. Highly recommend, if you read this particular one, that you look up his channel, Bookish, just Bookish, and watch this series along with your reading. Top notch. Thank you, Brian. In a nutshell, I got to chapter 16 and it all made sense completely. This is a book talking about misogyny and racism in the church, in Christianity. Yeah, pretty deep stuff. After chapter 16, instead of staying on that, plateau of enlightenment, I struggled again because it just kind of wanders off. There are some more important things to be said, but I was kind of ready for them to be done with saying them at that point. But this book is really rich, really rich. There is one scene in that third little part, whatever, that I think is just straight up racism without a purpose. Anyway, talk with a friend about this, but you know, a lot to be said in this book. A lot to be said. Then we have Eduardo Galeano, Voices of Time, A Life in Stories. I've been gushing about this in several videos thus far. I try to bring it up as much as possible because I think more of my friends need to discover him. This is, I'm calling it flash fiction, prose poetry. It is gorgeous. He is like the Renaissance man. He's so intelligent, so well-traveled, so well-read, so knowledgeable. He covers sports and romance and love and sex and politics and nature and the environment and history and culture and travel and peoples and relationships and I don't know, everything. And I love him. So I've got two more thanks to Book Outlet, and I'm going to continue with my Eduardo Galeano love affair. Definitely. And then this is, I think, the last finished one. The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield. Guys, this book is every bit as good as everyone says it is. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Highly recommend if you're wanting just a really entertaining story. I assumed this was going to be like a cozy mystery with a little bit of a gothic vibe. Not modern, but not, you know, too old. A little bit of a spooky edge. It was all of those things. The thing that I didn't expect was how absolutely heartwarming the ending was going to be. Oh my gosh. All the feels. There was a scene I had to stop reading because I was crying because it was so beautiful. Yes. And I'm going to stop there because this is a book where you don't need to know anything before you open the pages, except it's really good. It's just an entertaining story if that's what you're looking for. Highly recommend. So one more thing before we go. It has been 2 years, people. 2 years since I have had a clean slate when the year turned. Meaning I started the year fresh with no lingering books on my shelves. So in 2017, I started War and Peace and the Evangelicals and then just set them aside. And they sat there staring at me through all of 2018, most of 2019. As you all know, if you've been hanging around for any length of time, I finished them. Sometime, I guess, in late summer. Was that right? Anyway, it's not important. The important thing is they're done. These were kind of lingering. I also finished those. This one I started in August and finally finished. So these, my friends, are the last two. These are the last two lingering, unfinished, pushed aside in February, started this month, but it's massive books on my shelf. I am here to say I only have 270 pages left of Ducks. I'm going to do it. I am. 270 is not much when you look at that. And then this one I'm going to pick back up hopefully today. 200 pages left. And then, fingers crossed, I could start nonfiction November with a clean slate. But worst case scenario, December 31st, I won't have any books in progress, people. None. Mark my words. It's going to happen. Okay, I better go to work. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back soon. Bye.